Coding Dojo is a programming school that turns beginners into developers in only 14 weeks. Over 90% of their grads land jobs within 3 months of graduating, often making over $70K per year. To learn more, visit codingdojo.com or click the link in the description below. Hey, what's going on, guys? So in this video, we're going to create a React and Express starter pack because I've been getting a lot of questions lately, mostly from new developers, asking me how to integrate a front-end React application with a back-end Express app. And I figured that I'd create something that made it easy to get started with. So I'm going to show you that, but I'm not just going to show it to you. We're going to create it from scratch so that you can see exactly how we can integrate the two together in an elegant way. So basically all we have to do to get started with this is clone it or download it, install the dependencies for the server side with npm install, and then I have a script to install the React dependencies, and then we can simply run npm run dev, and that will actually run the client and server at the same time. And we're able to do that because we're using a small module called concurrently, and that allows us to have multiple commands inside of one npm script. So it's going to run the server and client at the same time. So before we get started creating this, I'm just going to show you how to grab it and use it for your projects. Now, you don't have to follow along with this part. I'm just going to give you an example. So I'm going to copy the Git link right here. You can also download the zip if you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and clone it. So let's see, I'm in my projects folder. I'm going to git clone and then paste in that link, and then it's going to create a folder called React Express Starter. So I'm going to cd into React Express Starter. By the way, I'm using Linux Ubuntu 17.10 if you're wondering, but it doesn't matter if you're on Windows or Mac. It's the same thing, same steps. So now we're just going to do npm install, and that will just go ahead and install Express and any dependencies Express needs. And then once that's done, we'll go ahead and say npm run client install, which, as you can see, it just cd into the client folder, and then it runs npm install. So it installs all the dependencies for React. And when we create this, we're going to use the create React app CLI. All right, so once this is done, we should be able to just simply run npm run dev, and it should start both the client and the back end, which is nice. And I think you guys that don't know how to do this will find that it's actually a lot easier than you thought. So let's do npm run dev. That should start up both, and it's going to open up. And there we go. So we have, I'm using the basic layout that Create React app gives you. Now these customers here, these are actually coming from our back end. So if I go to another tab here and I go to http localhost 5000/API/customers, you'll see those three customers. Okay, so this is coming from my Express server. So we have both running, and I also have a React component that I created. Sorry about that, guys. Called customers, and it's pulling it from our API. Okay, so we're just using the fetch API to grab these. So I'm going to show you how to do that, how to create it, how to create the React component, how to interact with the API, and all of that. So that's what we'll be doing in this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoy it, and let's go ahead and get started. Alright, guys, so I completely scrapped what we just did. I just wanted to give you an example of how we could pull the package and use it. So now we're going to start from scratch. So I'm in my projects folder here in my terminal. I'm going to just go ahead and create a new directory, and I'm going to call it React Express. And then we're going to cd into React Express. And from here, let's open up Visual Studio Code in this directory by just saying code dot. And you can use whatever text editor you want. Okay, I'm going to use my integrated terminal. You can get to this by going to View Integrated Terminal, or you can use Control tilde to toggle it. All right, so let's create a package.json file with npm init. So package name, that's good. Version description, we'll just say boilerplate for React and Express. Entry point, I'm going to use server.js. And let's see, author, I'm going to put my name, but you can of course use your own. This is open source. I'll give it an MIT license and everything should be good. Let's get rid of this. So this is our package.json file. Now I just want to get the dependencies out of the way, so we're going to do npm I express. We're going to install express and concurrently. Alright, we're not going to use concurrently until the end, but I figure we'll just install everything now. And then the only other thing that I want to install is nodemon, and I'm going to install that as a dev dependency, so --save-dev. And for those of you that don't know what nodemon is, it's basically just it'll run your application and constantly watch it for development, so that when you make changes it updates. Alright, so let's clear that up, and then in this package.json file I just want to add a couple scripts for now. So I want to add a start script, which is just going to call node and then the main file, which is server.js, and then I'm also going to have a server script which is going to use nodemon. So nodemon server.js. So that's it for now. Let's save this, close that up, and let's go ahead and create a server.js file, and then we'll go ahead and we'll open that file up. Alright, so this is going to be a very, very simple Express server. Basically we want one route that's going to return just an array of customers. So first thing we'll do here is bring in Express. So we want to require Express, and then we want to create our app variable and initialize Express. And let's go ahead and let's create a port variable to listen on, and that's going to be 5,000. I wouldn't use 3,000 because that's the default for create React app, and that's the tool we're using to generate our React application. So now let's just do app.listen on that port, and we'll put in an arrow function here. Oops. And let's just do a console.log, and we'll just put in some backticks, and we'll say server started on port, and then we'll use a template string, and we'll put the port variable. Alright, so the only other thing we need to do in here is add the route. So app.get, and the route I'm going to use is /API/customers, and let's put an arrow function here, and we're going to need to put our request and response. And then what I'm going to do is just create a variable called customers, and we're going to just create a hard-coded array here. Now in real life this would come from a database, but this isn't going to be a full application. This is just a starter pack, and it's up to whoever's using it to take care of that. I don't know if they're going to use MongoDB or MySQL or Postgres or Redux or something else. So we're just giving kind of an example here with some hard-coded data. So we'll do an ID. Let's say ID1, and let's do a first name. First name John, and last name, say Doe. Alright, let's copy this. We'll do 3 customers, and let's see, we'll just change up some data here. So this will be ID 3. For the name, let's do Mary, and let's do last name Swanson. I don't know where I get these names. Smith, say Steve Smith. ID 2. Alright, so now we have our customers, and now all we need to do is respond with JSON. So res.json, and I'm just going to pass in customers, and that should do it. So we'll save. Very, very simple server, but again, this is just like a starter pack. There's no reason for us to really add anything else to it. Now let's see if we can run this with I'm sorry, not node, npm run server. Okay, so that worked because of the script that we added right here. So this server, that's what we're running, and it's actually running nodemon server. So let's go to our browser and let's visit localhost 5000 API customers, and there we go. So that's our 3 customers. So that's essentially our back end. All right, so now what we want to do is create our React application. So we'll close this stuff up. Now I'm going to let this server run, and I'm going to open up a new terminal. So in VS Code I can just hit plus, and that'll open up a new terminal, and I still have my server running here for Express. All right, so in the second terminal, what I'll do is first of all, we need to install create React app, which is the CLI for React. So we'll say npm I. We want to install it globally. And if you're a React developer, chances are you probably already have this installed, but if not, then just go ahead and run this. And you know what? It's going to give me an error because I didn't do sudo because I'm on Linux, so I just got to add sudo to the beginning there. All right. All right, so now that we did that, let's create our React app with the command create React app, and we're going to call it client. So that's going to create a client folder inside of our directory here. All right, guys, so now that that is done, what we want to do is let's open up our client folder on the side here and open up package.json. Now, this is a really important step because we need to define our backend and URL as a proxy. So in the package.json, we're going to put a comma here, and we're going to define proxy, and we want to define our backend server, which is HTTP localhost port 5000. Now, by putting this here, we can actually make requests to our backend without having to include this inside of our, for instance, our fetch request. We'll just be able to do fetch /API/customers, and it'll know where to go. So it's very important to put this here. All right, and that's all we need to do in this file. So let's close that. Make sure you save it, close it up, and then let's cd into the client folder here. And let's run our React server. So we can do that with npm start. Okay, so what's going on here is we just started the React server on 3000, and the backend server is still running in this terminal, okay, on 5000. So we have 2 separate terminals running 2 separate servers, one front end, one back end. All right, we're not going to do the concurrently and mash them together until the end. But what I want to do now is in React, I want to create a a customers component and integrate that, or not integrate, but fetch the data from the back end. All right, so let's go into the client folder, which is our React app, into source, and then let's create a new folder called components. And then inside there, I'm going to create a new file, a new folder called customers. All right, and then in customers, let's create a file called customers.js. And then I'm also going to give this component its own CSS file called customers.css. Okay, so in this customers.js, we need just the basic structure of a React component. So what I'll do is copy app.js, which is also a component. That's the root component. So I'll copy everything there and paste it in customers.js. And I'm going to get rid of this logo. We don't need that. And then let's import customers.css, which is the file we created. And we're going to change the class name to customers. Inside of our render, we want to just get rid of everything inside the div, the main div here. I'm also going to get rid of the class name. We don't need that. And then for the export, we want to make sure we export default customers. All right, and then in the div, for now, I'm just going to put in h2. I don't have my Emmet set up for JSX, so I actually have to type it out, which sucks. And in here, we'll just say customers. We'll save this, and we'll go to our main app.js, so our main app component, and just replace this paragraph right here with customers, like that. And of course, we have to bring that in. So up here, we're going to say import customers from, and that's going to be from, let's see, dot/components/customers/customers. All right, so let's save that and go back to our application, and now you can see that our customers component is being embedded into our main app component. All right, now I know I'm not explaining everything about React. I'm assuming that you guys that are watching this at least know the very basics of React. If not, check out my crash course on YouTube. But basically, we're just embedding that component. We haven't made any calls to the back end yet, so that's what we're going to do next. So in our customers.js, let's go ahead and add a constructor here. All right, so we're going to add a constructor, and this is where we want to initialize our state. So we're going to say this.state equals not an empty object, but an object with a customer's array, which is empty. All right, we also have to call the super function here because this is being embedded into a parent component. So basically, we just have our customers in our state, which is completely empty right now. So what we want to do is make a request to our back end and then fill this customers with the data that's in the back end. So we're going to use a lifecycle function or a lifecycle method called component did mount. And what this does is it runs automatically when the component's mounted. So in here, we want to make our fetch call. So we're going to say fetch, and then we can just do /API/customers. Now, I don't have to do HTTP localhost 5000 because we put that proxy value inside the package.json file. So we can do this whenever we want to access any routes in our back end. All right, now with fetch, we have to do, it's going to return a promise. We got to do .then, take the result, and then map it to res.json. And then we do another .then, and that gives us our data. So we'll call it customers. And I do have a fetch API crash course as well. So it's going to give us our customers from our back end, and then what we want to do is put it inside the state. So we'll say this.setState, and we want to do customers. Now this is actually like this, customers, but this is redundant, so we'll use our ES6 style and just do customers. Okay, so again, to reiterate, we have our empty customers array in our state, and then we're making our call to our back end. And then when we get the response, which is going to be the customers, we're setting our state. All right, now set state, you can actually pass in a callback or an arrow function in this case, and we're just going to do a console.log, and we'll put in, let's say, customers fetched, like that, and then we'll put in another parameter, and we'll actually put in the customers that were fetched. So now we can test this out and see if it actually grabbed the data. So let's go back to our application, open up our Chrome tools, our console, and you can see customers fetched, and we have an array with 3 values. So these are being pulled from our back end. Okay, so React and Express are completely integrated. They're still running on 2 different terminals, which isn't ideal, and then we're going to fix that after. But let's continue on and let's output the customers in our front end application. So to do that, we'll go down to the render, and let's go under the customers, and we'll put in our UL. And in here, we're going to take our state, we're going to take the customers and map, and we'll say customer. For each customer, we're going to output an LI, and each LI is going to have a key, or it'll complain, it'll bitch about not having a unique key, so we're going to say key equals customer.id, and then inside the LI we're going to say customer dot, let's do first name and then we'll do customer dot last name. All right, let's save that. Let's check it out. And there we go. So these are actually being pulled from Express. All right, so I do want to style these a little better because this looks horrible. So that's why I created that CSS file. So in here, we're going to put UL. We're going to say list style none, padding 0, width 30%, and margin auto. All right, and then for the LI, I'm going to do font size 1.3 rem, and let's do a line height of 2 rem, and let's do a border bottom of 1 pixel dotted, and then 777. All right, let's take a look at that, and that looks much better. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. We have our data, our customers coming from Express. So the last thing I want to do is make it so that we don't have to run these two different terminals. So this is where concurrently comes in. So I'm going to stop the front end application with Control C. So this is in the client folder. I'll go to the server and Control C and stop that. And then let's go into our server's package.json file. So right here, this is starting our backend server. Now, instead of going into the client folder ourselves and saying npm start, what we want to do is create a client script. And then we can go and we can say cd into client and do npm start, and that will start the React server. Or we could do npm start and then just add -- prefix client, and that'll do the same thing. So we're going to keep that, and then what we want to do is do a dev script, and then this is going to use concurrently. So this I actually have to look at, because we have to escape. We have to use double quotes, but we have to escape them. So I need to just see exactly how this is. Yeah, so we need to do concurrently, / to escape, colon, and then we're going to do npm run server. And let's do another / and then quote. And then we want to do our client, so npm run client, like that, and then like that. So it should be 2 on the end here. So what's happening is concurrently, like I said, it runs more than one command from one script. So it's running both of these, our server and our client, at the same time. So all we have to do now is run npm run dev. So let's test it out. I'm going to clear this up and just say npm run dev. And there we go. It starts both up. And you can see we're getting our customers. And if we go to localhost 5000, you'll still see that that works as well. All right, so that's pretty much it. I mean, one other thing that I did for the GitHub package, so that you didn't have to go into the client and install dependencies, is I created a client install script. And for that, I just did cd client and npm install. so that way you can install the React dependencies without having to actually go into the client folder yourself. All right, and that's it. So hopefully this helped you guys out that were kind of confused on how to, you know, mix React with Express and build a full stack application. And you know, I would suggest using this little package. It's very simple. I'm sure a lot of you guys are surprised at how simple it is. But feel free to, you know, use the starter kit. Feel free to actually add to it and make a push request. One thing I would like to do is add Redux. So if any of you guys want to work on that and push to the repository, that would be cool. It can be kind of a community effort. But that's it. If you like this video, please leave a like. Please subscribe if you're not. Hopefully you guys have a great new year. It's New Year's Eve. Just try not to get too drunk. Definitely don't drive drunk, and have fun. I have 2 kids, so I will be spending the evening here. Hopefully I can make it till midnight. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you next year. Coding Dojo is a programming school that turns beginners into developers in only 14 weeks. If you're serious about landing a career in tech but lack the formal education or background, Coding Dojo will get you there in no time. With over 3,000 graduates to date, over 90% of their grads land jobs within 3 months of graduating, often making over $70K per year at tech firms of all sizes, from companies like Google to local startups. To learn more, visit codingdojo.com or click the link in the description below.